Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Anne Marie, and I wanted to share with you today my next design team project for Country Craft Creations. I am working with the What's Brewing collection that is exclusive to Country Craft Creations. You can't get it anywhere else. And if you love coffee as much as I love coffee, you're going to want to get this. I absolutely love this paper collection. You can see here all the different pages, the different designer papers. It's coffee themed, and there are cut aparts and tags included. So you can see some of the tags down below here. So what I made, I don't know what it's called. This is not my original design. I made it my own, but I made something. It's a box. Right? It looks like a box, and it has an easel card up on top. I just thought that made it look so cute. So I'm just going to turn it on its side so you can see the richness of the colors. Isn't that beautiful? So there's an easel card on the top, and I'm just going to flatten it out so we can look at it a little more easily. So this is probably one of my favorite pages. It says delicious coffee is sold here. I took a frame from my stash. It's a Tim Holtz frame. Not sure if it's available anymore, but this is one of the cut aparts. It's just a little coffee cup. I thought it was so pretty. These papers, these are My Colors papers that you can get in Country Craft Creations. Everything will be linked in the video, in the description box of the video once that's finished. So I just cut out 3 flowers using a die that I have, added some rhinestone blings. I have like a little gold, I covered most of it up, but like a little gold greenery. And I actually put some actual coffee beans. I glued some actual coffee beans to the front. And this is a little piece of the, I want to say the name of this seam binding is Meadow. Could be wrong, but it's green. And then just some rhinestones I had in my stash. So again, that pops up like that. And I just used, again, another one of the cut aparts. It has some glue strings all over it. So this is just an old-fashioned, I don't know if it's a coffee press. I'm not really sure what that is, but that's what I think it might be. And there's a bag of beans and a coffee cup. And then I just made 2 mats, popped them up on some craft foam. Sorry, lost my train of thought. And then I just added 3 more of those flowers and some more of the coffee beans. So it actually smells really good. So here's the front, the very front. This is just a drawer pull that I have in my stash. Look at the pretty paper. The colors are just gorgeous. So I'm struggling trying to find the best way to show you. So I am just going to go ahead and pull out the drawer. Okay, so this drawer is 7 by 7. Well, I guess I should tell you. So the box top is, I believe, 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. And then it's 7 3/4 of an inch tall. So when you come up to the top here. So it's pretty big. Nothing too crazy. So inside the easel box is a 6 by 6 little folio. Check out the paper. So I just, again, used those same flowers that I used on the front. So these are the My Color, like I said, My Color cardstock. This one I know is called Kiwi. This one I think is Salty Beach, maybe, I think. And this one is just like a vanilla. I think it's called vanilla. Anyway, and then I just have a die in my stash. It's just, you know, greenery sprigs, but I cut it out of some gold. See that? Some gold, what is this called? Mirror cardstock. And so this coffee makes everything better. especially at 5:30 in the morning when you get up for work. So this is just one of the cut aparts. So this is some of the seam binding. Oh, here you can see the spine here. Love that. Look at the little coffee stain. I thought was cute. And then here's the back. I did not intend to use this page on the back. It is just the reverse of this, but I think it works perfectly. I glued it on upside down, okay? Yeah. So, like the old-fashioned coffee pot. Again, I'm pretty sure that's a coffee press. I'll have to ask Tammy. And then just some, I don't drink these frou-frou type of coffees, but they look yummy. So there's just some seam binding. You'll see at the end of the seam binding, I hope you can see that, I just attached some coffee beans. Hear that? Those are coffee beans. So then you just open it like this, and it's just nothing fancy, very easy to do, and it's just a little folio. Let me move this box out of the way. So here's a little folio. We'll start over here on the left. So there's 3, I believe these are 4x6 flaps, little waterfall flaps. Look at those coffee beans. I love it. Oh, there's that little vignette there. And I just used some small magnets. I didn't have any of the large magnets, the large basic grace. I just used some of the small ones. Then the inside here, these are 2 of the 4x6 cut aparts. I cut them down a little bit since my folio here is only 6 inches tall. But this says Pure Made Coffee. I remember seeing this when I was really young. It's weird the things you remember. But yeah, I love that. And then this one, I love this. It's called Reception Brand Coffee Bold Arabica Blend. And then inside here, I just made a pocket. I love the coffee beans. So, oops, sorry, I bumped my camera. Here is one of the tags. This was a 4x6 cut apart. Here's another one that keeps making an appearance. And I just backed it on the cardstock. And then this says Sunrise Brand Coffee. And this one says Irish Breakfast Coffee. Love that. So those are just some of the cut aparts. And I left this unmatted. I was thinking, how cool would it be to use like a gold pen and do some journaling? You could even use a white pen. I may end up covering that in the end, but... And then here is also on this side, this is another little waterfall. These are, the waterfall flaps are 4x4, I believe. So this is the piece from the cover where it says, the cover, sorry, of the Easel box. I cut off the delicious part and I just kept Coffee is Sold here. And now I did mat these. So I had that beachy blue paper, I have the kiwi, the vanilla, and I also got this chocolate brown. My colors, because it all matched so perfectly. So here again is a little bag of coffee with a coffee cup and some, I assume that's cinnamon sticks. Oh, there's a hazelnut there too. Didn't see that the first 50 times I looked at it. And there again is my favorite little calling coffee press. And then this is just a flat mat. There's only 3 flaps here. The coffee beans. And again, I used 2 of the small basic grays. So you see throughout this book, I matted all of the naked spaces with this striped paper because I loved it so much. So you see it's there. Oh, I didn't put it in there. I meant to do that. I should do that. I'll go back and do that. So yeah, so it just folds up like that. This side folds over because this side, oh, it got squished. This side is shorter than this on the left. So it just closes up. And I have a heck of a time tying 2 ribbons. I mean 2 pieces of seam binding. I don't know why I make it so difficult. Okay, there we go. Tie it back up. It's like I've never made a bow before. Okay. So, I mean, I know that's a horrible bow. But yeah, so that is the 6x6 folio. And this is the box, the easel box. So I would think that this would be great for, you know, a Mother's Day or a Father's Day gift. Coming up next is the step-by-step tutorial for the easel box. All right, let's get started on the easel box. So my original box was done in black artisan cardstock, and I just find that that's a little hard to see when you do a tutorial. So, and also because of the paper collection that I intend to use for this one, I am using the artisan cardstock in craft. So what we're going to need to get started, so for the actual box, you know, the box part, minus the easel, but just the box part, we're going to need 2 pieces of artisan cardstock that are 9 1/8 by 11 1/8. Okay, let me move all this out of the way. So 9 1/8 by 11 1/8, and we are going to put this in our scoreboard with on the 11 1/8 inch side in the top hand right corner, and we're going to score at 2 inches on 3 sides. So we're going to do 2 inches, rotate it, score at 2 inches, rotate it again. Actually, I'm not sure which way, probably this way. Rotate it again, and 2 inches. So we want to rotate it at, we want to score it at 2 inches on 3 sides. So 2 long and 1 short side. Because what's going to happen is this is going to come together. This is going to fold up like this, and it's going to form our box. So we want to do that twice. So we have 2 of those, exactly the same. So let me grab my scissors. Okay, so then what we're going to do, we're going to make this box the same as we've made any other box together before. Same way you've made any boxes with Tamara or anybody else on the design team. So we are just going to cut into, actually I prefer to cut on this side. We are just going to cut up along that score line. Okay. And then we're just going to wedge out part of a little piece right here. And yank that off. So you see what we did? And then we're just going to go also to, and just angle that corner just a little bit. And we're going to come over to the next one. We're going to do exactly the same thing. We're kind of cutting that score line away. Then we're going to angle it. I like to turn mine over. I can never cut that straight. And then just cut off a little piece. So you can see what we did there. Okay, let's do the same on the other one. Okay, you'll see this comes together pretty easily. And I only trim that piece there so that when you fold it and you put together the box, this doesn't stick up over the edge. If you have a better way that you like to do it, by all means, you know, have at it. This is how I like to do it. There's no right or wrong way. Okay. So, by the way, we are working with a new camera angle. I have a new setup here that I'm trying to get used to. We'll see. So far, not so good. Let me grab a baby wipe. Whoops. sorry. Does that ever happen to you? Does like your chair handle gets stuck under your desk and then it shakes everything loose? Happens to me all the time. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my art glitter glue. Now, you can decide if you want to put these tabs on the outside of the box, because I do cover the box with pattern paper, but I prefer to put it on the inside. So I'm going to glue on the outside of the tab, right? So if this is the inside, this is the outside. So I'm just going to put some glue here. I just like to hide these little tabs. And then I just like to line it up and stick it down. And we'll do the same over here. It's such a gloomy day here today. It looks so dark on my screen, but I have my, you can't see it yet. Oh, here I have my Cricut light right here, and it just feels like it's so dark. I'm in the Northeast, and it's rainy and cloudy today. Just yucky all over. Okay, so there is the first part of our box. So we're going to do that again with the second one. I would recommend using wet glue here. You could use Scor tape, but it's going to take a little bit of a beating, so I prefer to use wet glue. So fold that side in. Line them up, line up your edges. Oh, no. No. Wait. Yeah, this is right. Oh, I panicked. Okay, did I do that right? And then what ends up happening, I panicked for a minute, I thought I didn't do it right, is we are going to glue each one of these sides. We're going to turn it upside down. So we have two pieces that are like that. We're going to turn one upside down, and that we're going to glue them together, and that's going to form our opening for our box. Oops. Okay. So what I like to do is just glue these one at a time. Oops, sorry. Would help if you could see. If it makes it easier for you to use Scor tape to do this step, then you can do that. And actually, I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to do them all at the same time. What possibly could go wrong, people? Yeah. I'm predicting that in the next minute and a half, I'm going to be crying like a baby because I messed it up. Okay. All right. So, want to make sure that you have an opening in the front. So I'm going to turn mine on its side. If you can't get your hand on there, you can stick your ruler in. On this side. And then also come down here. It's pretty simple. So you can see how this this was the top I laid inside the bottom. I'm just going to turn that over, and that's now going to become the bottom of my box. So nobody needs to know. So then what that also does too is reinforces. So there's two layers of the cardstock, here, here, and here. Now, once we finally build with all the layers of the pattern paper and the rest of the easel card, this will be really, really sturdy. I would suggest that you can either put another layer, so a 7x7 or a 6 7/8 by 6 7/8 piece of cardstock on the bottom. You can see it's a little bit flimsy. Or you can just use a piece of pattern paper. So that's the beginning of our box. That was simple. So now we need to make the drawer itself. So I don't know if you can see here that says 11 by 11 drawer. So you're going to take a piece of 11 by 11 cardstock, right? Because we need this center piece to be 7 inches, and we need it to fit. Well, this one's a little bit bigger. This is about 1/8 of an inch bigger. We need this box to fit inside this box. So this is 11 by 11, and we trimmed it down to 2 inches. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. Sorry, we didn't trim it. We scored it at 2 inches. So we're going to do 2 inches on all 4 sides. So you do 2, then you can come over here to 9 and score, reverse it, and do the same thing. So score it at 2 inches on all 4 sides. And my glue is making that crazy, it's leaking all over the place again. Stop it. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing we just did on the last box. We are going to pick a side to start on. They're all the same. We're gonna cut up along the score line, or cut away the score line, angle it, and angle. Okay, and we're going to do that 3 more times on all 4 corners. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. I try to make these cuts as straight as possible, but I'm not always perfect. I know it's a shocker, but okay, let's do that once more. So you see what we did? We cut out didn't cut out, but we cut all 4 of the corners on the square. The squares on the corners. Oh, good gravy, sorry. So again, this is where I'm going to suggest, again, you fold the tabs in, add the glue, and bring up the side. We don't want to risk anything getting caught on any paper or anything sticking out getting caught in the drawer, the box, I mean. So I'm going to hide these on the inside. So just like we did on the last piece, we're going to form or square up the edges, glue down the tabs, there we go. You can see there. We're going to do the same on this side. Oopsie. Okay. Uh-oh. I'm a little crooked there. See how those off a little bit? That's the beauty of wet glue. You can just, before it dries, you can just peel it off and fix it. Right, let's do that again. Okay. Line it up. I'm going to take my bone folder now, and I'm just going to burnish inside there and there, just to make sure it gets a good stick on both sides, there and there. Okay, so you can see that's the bottom of our drawer. That's our drawer itself. Now, So we have this box that has the opening. So this one should slide very easily inside of that one. So, but one thing you notice is this is a little flimsy if you pull on it. What I decided to do was to add, since unfortunately cardstock is only 12 by 12, I cut down some reinforcers for each one of the 4 sides. And so then this is 7 by 7, or I'm sorry, this is 2 inches tall by 7 inches. So I cut out 4 of these reinforcers that are 1 7/8 by 6 7/8. And then I'm just going to apply glue. So I just made them 1/8 of an inch smaller than the actual dimension of the side of the box. You don't have to do this. But I feel like it just makes it easier. So I'm just going to take this, lay it right inside there. Hopefully I cut that correctly. That one looks a little long. Oh, nope. Okay. I'm going to take my bone folder. I will show you right after I finish. So, and I just stuck it down in there, and it gives it a whole lot more stability. So I'm going to come over to the other side. Excuse me. And I'm going to do the same thing. Add my glue. Take that and just slide it in there. It should fit in there very nicely. I'm going to do the same. My bone folder, make sure I get it in the corners, and just make sure I get a good stick. So see, it's offering stability too. It's reinforcing the sides, and then it's also hiding this. Sometimes that doesn't bother me, these right here. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. I guess it just depends on my mood. But in this case, I want to hide it. So we'll do this one. Just lay that right inside there. Scooch it down. You just want to make sure that this little reinforcement piece doesn't hang over the edge of the box. And since it's cut at 1 7/8, it really shouldn't. So, but you know, I have seen with my own eyes, everybody's cutter cuts a little bit differently. Apparently 1 7/8 on one cutter is not the same on another. Okay, so we're gonna, last one, pop that in there, give it a good burnish. Okay, now at this point, if you want to cut a piece that's 6 7/8 by 6 7/8 and put it inside there, you can. Let's do that. Let's cut. Pull in my cutter, my dirty cutter. This is my tried and true, had it forever. Even though I have several others, I keep coming back to this one. So 6 7/8 by 6 7/8. So I am going to just add a bunch of glue just around here. You know, it looks like a lot of glue, but it's really not, because of this fine tip. Alright, and then I'm just going to put it on here and just center it as best I can, because it is 1/8 of an inch smaller. So, ow. Use my bone folder to make sure it gets burnished, and you can see already, see how I just put that on the wrong one. No, I wanted to put that there. Okay. Whew, I was thinking I messed it up. So then it just slides in there beautifully. Okay, and then what I used on my project, I used one of these Graphic 45 shabby chic door pulls. So these are in my stash, and I know I got these from Country Craft Creations years ago. I don't know if Tammy still has them. If she does still have them for sale, I will link them in the description box of this video. You can use one of these pulls. You can use buttons. You can use any, if you get a small drawer pull from, what is it, Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever, you can use, I said buttons, you can use ribbon. You can just put a ribbon pull, or you don't need a pull at all, because you can just pull it out like that. So you can stop there if you want. You can decorate the box. You can make it, you know, whatever you want. But I am going to go ahead and put the easel card on. So what I like to do, I'm going to leave that drawer inside the box just because I feel like it just makes it a little more sturdy. What I like to put on is a piece of cardstock that, what should I call this? This is 7.5 by, yeah, 7.5 by 7.5. And it's just going to be, I will show you. It is just this little piece of the overhang here on top and here on the bottom. It just kind of finishes off the box a little bit. So, yeah, let's add that. So I'm just going to take my glue and make sure I have this the right way. Okay. So I'm going to just put a good amount of glue on. Definitely along these corners, just to make sure they stick down really well. Okay, and then I just lay this here and then just hope for the best. And I try to center it. So it should have about 1/4 of an inch overhang all around all 4 sides of the box. So if you have a grid and, you know, if it's not on perfectly straight, I doubt anybody's going to notice. I mean, I know we will notice because we're just perfectionists, but just do your best to line it up straight on all 4 sides. Actually, I'm going to have to pull this out so I could turn this upside down, and I'm going to grab my ruler and use my ruler to really get in there into the corners and just make sure that it sticks. Okay, so there we have it. You can see it has a bit of an overhang all the way around. Put that back in. So there's our front. Okay, we're going to flip it over and we're going to do that again. Add some good bead of glue along the edge. And in all 4 corners. I'm going to have to move pretty quickly with this because art glitter glue dries so fast. And then in addition to that, this has that fine metal tip. Alright, I'm just going to put this in here. Oops, wait. And again, try to line this up. I know you can't see what I'm doing here, and I apologize, but I'm just trying to line this up, give it a nice 1/4 inch all the way around. Again, just get in there with your ruler. Now mine's off a little bit on this side. It's straight, but it's a little bit off. I'm just, it doesn't wobble, so I'm not too concerned about it. And it's the bottom anyway. So, oh yeah, I am concerned. Don't listen to me. All right, I'm gonna try that again. If I think about it, I'll edit the video. I was just way too off on one edge, so, I mean, hey, it happens, right? Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. All right. Again. Try to line it up. There we go. I feel better about that one. No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Wait. Wait, wait, wait. Don't stick. Don't stick. Oh, I'm stuck. Okay. Come on, Anne-Marie. You can do it. Okay. There we go. Much better. That's going to have to be it. And again, just use your ruler, or if your hand fits in there. Actually, my hand does fit in there. And then just make sure it's flat, that you got a good stick. Okay, that's much better. And then, so you can see there's a, oops. Again, sorry, trying to get used to this new system. There's a ledge all the way around. Okay. Right. So, if you're like me, it's easy to forget which side is the top and which side is the bottom. I'm just going to go ahead and put an arrow pointing that way. That's how I know that that's the back and that's the front. Right, so just to remind me, once I put the pattern paper on, all bets are off, but for now, I'll know exactly where it should be. Okay, so now we need to put together our card base. So the way I did this is I took a piece that was 7.5 inches by 7. Okay, that's my card base. We are going to put that in our scoreboard on the 7.5 inch side. Oops, I did this backwards. Well, you can put it on the 7-inch side, score at 7 inches, or if you turn it around, you could score it at 1/2 inch. Same thing. So what's going to happen with this is going to be centered, so you can probably want to give this, you'll have to make a decision here if you want to put pattern paper down on here or if you just want to put the pattern paper on here. In my project I did both. I'm thinking I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to leave that 1/4 inch trim showing around the perimeter on this. Yeah. So, and then what we want to do, then we need another piece of paper that is 7 inches by 8 inches. Okay. And I did not score this. This is going to be the actual, I mean, I don't know what this is. This is going to be the bent easel part. I don't know what you call it, but I'm just going to score this in half. Actually, I think because I think this does not bother me at all. So this is the part that we're making right here. Okay. When you fold this down, it hangs over the edge of the box. So I was thinking maybe that's 1 inch. I'm actually fine with that. I like it because I don't see a reason why you would. Anyway, don't listen to me. Let's score this at 4 inches. On the 8-inch side, we're going to score it in half at 4 inches. Then we're going to fold it and burnish it. I'm sorry, fold it and crease it. Okay. So now what we want to do, because these are equal, both sides of these are equal, you're going to choose one. I am going to put this on the inside. I maybe shouldn't have written in pen, but we are going to choose one side, and we're going to adhere this page we just scored to this 1/2 inch flap here. Yeah, since we're going to cover it with pattern paper, I'm going to actually just angle or miter the corners. They will get covered up with pattern paper. All right. So we're going to put this, doesn't matter whether you put it on the inside or the outside. I just happen to choose the outside. And you can use Scor tape for this. I'm just going to line that up, put it right, glue it right next to that Scor line. Don't go over the Scor line because you'll get interference. And I'm just going to give it a good crease. Make sure there isn't any glue that's seeped out. So you can see we're partway there. Then what we're going to do is take this. See, but that's why. I really don't mind it. Okay, so we're going to add some glue to this piece. Now, again, if you are going to want to put pattern paper on here, put that down first before you glue this easel card down. Oh, and full disclaimer, I'm not a card maker. I can fake it pretty good, but this may not be the actual dimensions of an easel card. I don't know what the standards are. It's just my dimensions. So here we have this piece, and we're going to just center it right on here, which means this is 7.5 by 7.5. Probably I just want to eyeball it, make sure we have 1/4 inch all the way around. So I'm sorry for my computer dinging. I forgot to turn off my notifications. Okay. So there we go. So we have that so far. So you see how easily this comes together. And then this piece, this is the actual card piece itself. I cut it 6 by 7. You can make it however tall or however short, squatty you want it. I did 6 by 7 since this is 7 inches wide. And what we're going to do, because you see what we have here, this is the easel piece. We are going to take and put glue just on this bottom section, so below this Scor line, which will allow the card to kind of pop up to the easel, to become an easel. Okay. So I'm just going to line up these the bottom edges. And there is your easel card. Just make sure that that's all. You don't want to put any glue on this first section here because it won't pop up. Okay, now, so as far as what you want to hold your easel, make your easel stand, you can take any piece of ephemera that's in your paper collection. You can take a chipboard sticker. I just happen to have, I don't know where this came from. I just happen to have this on my computer stand. Not sure why. But you can lay that there, put that on a piece of foam, craft foam, and that would hold it up. Again, you can use a piece of chipboard, a chipboard sticker. You can use flowers. You can use whatever you want to help hold that up. And as I mentioned earlier in the earlier part of this video, I just used a piece of the cut apart in the paper collection. You can see I fussy cut it out, put some foam dots behind it, and then just took a piece of pattern paper. I think this was, let me see, 3¼ by 3¼ I used a corner chomper right there, or a corner rounder, and then I cut this next piece at 3½ by 3½, and I just layered them together, added some flowers and some coffee beans, and you can see that is what holds, that's what helps hold the card. Yeah, so, and if you wanted to, on the back here, you can adhere some white or light colored cardstock, or even here. I didn't think to mat that. You can do that, but I don't think it's necessarily necessary. You can put a white piece of cardstock back here and write your message. Like if you're going to give this as a gift to somebody, say you have a friend and you go to coffee shops and you meet for coffee, and you know, just whatever you want to put in it. Again, any theme. This could be if you had some beautiful floral paper for Mother's Day. You can do a baby one. You can do college graduation. I mean, you can put anything. This is a pretty sizable drawer. I have a 6x6 folio in here. You know, you can put gift cards in here. You can, for a graduation gift, you can put a graduation card in here and another gift. You know, there's so many possibilities with this. So, yeah, and then what next thing that you want to do, you can just go ahead and mat all of this, you know, your cardstock. You can see here, as I mentioned, I matted it, but you really don't see the paper, and I'm kind of bummed because I love that paper. But, you know, I just matted here. You know, I matted all 4 sides. And the mats are just, excuse me, 1/8 of an inch smaller than the actual side of the box. So each box side is 2 inches by 7. And the cutting guide will say there'll be a matting guide. But these are 1 7/8 by 6 7/8. So you can see I have a little bit of trim there on the edges. So that's all the way around. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. You see how that all came together in about 35 minutes. So yeah, so that's exciting. So I'm going to clean this up, and then I will be back, and we can go over how to make the 6x6 folio. We are now going to go ahead and move on to making the 6x6 folio. It is not very involved. It's pretty simple. I call it beginner level. And yeah, it's literally 6 by 6 by 4 3/4. So yeah, there's not a whole lot to it. So let's get going. All right, so we are again going to continue on using the artisan cardstock in the craft color. So for the left cover, because as you saw, it's like 3 pieces. The left cover, we're going to cut a piece of cardstock to 6 by 6. The center or the middle piece is also 6 by 6. And then the right flap, or I'm sorry, the rightmost cover is 4 3/4 by 6. Okay, so we are also going to need 2 spines. So you want 2 pieces of your cardstock that are cut 2 by 6 inches. We're going to put that in our scoreboard on the 2-inch side, and we're going to score it at 1/2 of an inch and 1.5 inches, and we're going to do that to both pieces. See how we did that here? So I am going to use wet glue on this. I don't really like to use Scor tape on the fins. Not that it won't dry, it will dry. It's going to take a beating. But I just prefer to use wet glue in this case. So I'm just going to fold on my Scor lines and really burnish them really well. And again, these are the spines, and they're going to take a bit of abuse. So, you know, if you just think about it, opening and closing the book, and opening and closing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a reinforcer on the inside. You could do whichever side you want, but I just like to do it on the inside. So I'm going to take 2 more pieces, or take 1 more piece of the artisan cardstock, and I'm going to cut it down to 7/8 of an inch by 6 inches, because after you fold on those Scor lines, you're left with 1 inch. So I'm just going to put a little bit, just so it just slides right inside there. I'm making it 7/8 of an inch by 6, and I just made it just the littlest bit shy of 6 inches, just so nothing hangs over the edge. It's making it easier on myself. So I'm just going to go ahead. You could solve this problem by just using lightweight chipboard if you want to for your covers, but then you have to wrap your covers. But here on the spine, you can definitely use lightweight chipboard and not have to worry about it, because it's going to get covered up. I just didn't have any lightweight left. If you are going to take part in the spring virtual retreat, I have a project coming up. I think Tammy or Tanya gave a sneak peek of my project. I used all my lightweight chipboard for that. So again, I'm just gluing down the 7/8 of an inch by 6 inch piece of cardstock, just reinforcing the spine. Definitely, it doesn't have to be perfect. You definitely just want to keep it between those 2 Scor lines so that you don't have any interference. Okay, so then what we're going to do, just because this is in my hand, this is going to become my left spine. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to tab these corners. Pattern paper will hide it. I just don't want anything sticking out. So I call it tab the corners. Some people call it miter the corners, you know, angle the corners, whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to go ahead and add my glue. Don't want to go crazy with it, but you want to make sure that you get enough. Then I like to line this up in my scoreboard. Helps keep it straight. Line it with the grid mat. And because I tell you, I don't know how I do it sometimes, but I get these things so crooked sometimes. It's a wonder. Okay, so you can see we have our first. See, like that one's a little bit crooked. Okay, and then I'm going to turn mine over. This is going to be, this next flap is going to be the one that attaches to the center cover. So again, I'm just going to line this up and try to put this on kind of straight-ish. If you wanted to, you could have wrapped the spine around the outside like this, the outside of the covers. I don't know, I think I did that on the first one. I'm not sure why I didn't do that this time. But whatever I do the first time, I'm going to make sure I repeat it for the second spine. So here is our second spine with a little reinforcer in the middle. Just tabbing my corners. I'm going to go ahead. How did I do that now? Can't believe I'm forgetting already. All right, so like this. I'm going to put some glue. Okay, again, just trying to line this up. Lift this up. Okay, so see, I'm going right up to that score mark, but not going over it. Oh, that one's a little bit crooked. There we go. Okay. All right, and then the next one. This is the last one. Again, this is the rightmost flap. Uh-oh. Got some glue, seep it out. It's okay, I'm always ready with the baby wipe. Okay, so there we have so far. We have that. If you prefer, you can put the longer flap on the inside, and you could put your seam binding over here. Maybe I should do that. Oh no, see, look what I did. See how that's all crooked right there? And it's a little bit too late, so I'm just gonna leave it. Nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to know, and I know you're not gonna tell on me. So at this point, if you would like to use magnets instead of seam binding, I mentioned earlier these are the only ones I have, and I don't even have the packaging anymore, but these are the basic gray small magnets. You could probably just put like one here, and one here, and that would help hold. Well, I wouldn't do the middle one because you're going to have a magnet over here. I'm just going to show you again how I did the seam binding. I don't even think I showed you the seam binding yet, but I've done it on thousands of other projects, at least thousands. So what I like to do is kind of maybe just take, 16 inches of ribbon, I don't know, 16 inches plus a little bit, not ribbon, this is seam binding, sorry. And what I'm going to do is take my score tape, and this is the ivory seam binding that Tamara carries in the store. It will be linked below for you. So I'm just going to go ahead. Where's my pokey tool? I'm going to go ahead, and you can use glue with this. I just like to do seam binding. On my project, my original project, I did two pieces of seam binding. Here you can see I did the chocolate brown and the gorgeous blue, and then I just added little coffee beans. I hot glued coffee beans to the end, and they smell so good. Yeah, you could do that, or you can just take a 1/2 inch paper punch some pattern paper, or even a 1 inch, and then glue it on either side of the seam binding. It makes a really cute little decoration. Plus, it helps hold the ribbon down. Oops, you can't even see it, sorry. It helps keep it down, like when you tie it. Yeah, I love it. So I went ahead and put some on the front. Okay, and then I'm going to turn this over, and it's going to go on this side, on the back as well. And I'm not going to cut it yet until I actually line it all up. So I'm going to take my seam binding. Come on, come on. Okay, just want to make sure I put it on the right side. Add some score tape. I don't know, about not even an inch. You don't even need that much. I know I overdo it. Like I just did right there. So straighten it out, make sure it's all straight, and then just line that up. Line up your covers, and then just put it down. And then when you put your pattern paper on, it'll cover all that up, and nobody will know where. Nobody will understand. They'll think you're a genius. Okay, so now that that's all lined up and good to go, I'm going to go ahead and just cut that. And then we'll just tie that up at the end. All right, so far, see how quick? 12 minutes, we already have the covers, the shell, good to go. All right, so next we're just gonna, well, since we're right here, we'll just work in the center. We need, for the center, we have 2 flaps. And I will show you right quick. We have these 2 flaps, and then we have this pocket. So the flaps you want 2 pieces of your cardstock that are 4.5 by 6. We're going to score at a 1/2 inch. You're going to put it in your scoreboard, score it at a 1/2 inch on the 4.5 inch side. You're going to do the same for the second one. Then we're going to need, for the pocket, we're going to want a piece that's 3.5 by 6 7/8. I like to have just the teeniest little bit of room on either end, just to avoid any interference when you close the book up. So 3.5 by 6 7/8 will do it for you. So you're going to score on the 6 7/8 inside. You're going to score at a 1/2 inch. We're going to turn it to the shorter side, score it at a 1/2 inch. Turn to the long side again and score it at a 1/2 inch. So what we're doing there, we're scoring at a 1/2 inch on 3 sides. And I'm using score tape just to help move the video along. And then what we're going to do, where these score lines intersect right here, creates this little square. That's just unnecessary bulk that we don't need. So what we're going to do is we are just going to come over here, make a little angle cut up to the score line, and then I like to turn it like that and then make another angle cut. And essentially we just cut away that little square, if that makes sense. And I did that already on the other side. So, and that's no different than any other pocket that I or any of the other designers make. So now we're just going to go ahead and fold on our score lines, give it a good burnish, especially right there in that corner. Okay, and then what I like to do is take my backing of my, the backing of my score tape off, and then hold down the bottom and then just push over the side and do the same over here. That just helps keep it from being all floppy whenever you set down the pocket, when you go to glue down the pocket. Okay, I'm gonna pull this back in, and we're gonna take off these paper backers here. And again, you could do this with wet glue if you like. So I want to be careful that we don't go past these score lines here when we're setting this pocket. That's why I like to have that little extra 1/8 inch of play. So I'm just, let's see. Oh, see, I almost lined up the wrong one. Okay, so we're just going to there we go. Stick it down, Give it a good burnish. Alright, so then you can see that just forms a really nice pocket right there. So next, we need to put these flaps in. So again, we scored it at 1/2 inch, and then we're just going to go ahead and fold. Oops, I forgot. Let's put the score tape on. Sorry if you can hear my neighbor out there mowing the lawn. It's raining here today, and he's out there mowing. It's a bit goofy if you ask me. Okay, so we just folded and burnished on those score lines. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back in here to here. We're going to remove this score tape backer. And then instead of putting this on top of the pocket, we're actually going to adhere this to the spine piece, right? So what I like to do, I'm going to turn mine this way. Excuse me. And I am going to line up the edge of this 1/2 inch flap with the edge of, remember that little 1 inch piece that we put in there for a or actually just shy of a 1 inch piece. I'm just going to line this up. I can't really see it because of the light. I'm going to line it up with the edge of that little reinforcement sheet piece. And the reason I'm doing that is so that when you put the finishing touches on the book, I always like to have, so this is the spine right here, I always like to have a little trim piece cover up that spine. So there's one there, and then there's that 1/2 inch piece there, and it kind of looks like it's floating. And it hides that 1/2 inch tab. Now, if you don't mind seeing the black, the 1/2 inch tab, you can cover the whole spine. So the spine's 1 inch here. You can make this 7/8 by 6 inches and just put the hinge on top of the pattern paper if you don't mind seeing it. I just like to have it covered up. So that's what this will do for you. So if you look at, you have this 1/2 inch here, and you have just shy of a 1/2 inch on this side, and you can just cut 3/8 of an inch by 6 and 3/8 by 6 and put on, cover up all the workings. Hope that made sense. Made sense to me. So we're going to do that again. We're going to take our second flap, remove our score tape backer. Now I'm going to try this again. I don't know if you, oh yeah, you can see that here. See where, oops, actually we're on this side. See where that line is right there? We are going to line this up. Oops, my screen just went dark. Okay. We're going to line this up having a hard time seeing. Okay. There we go. All right, so when you fold it, or when you fold it closed, yeah, this side comes over to this side, and then it closes up like that. You still have a ways to go, but you get the idea. And then you would just tie it shut right here. Okay. Oh, so you make sure that you burnish these down so that they stay closed. So next we'll move over here and we'll do the waterfall on the left-hand side. And for that waterfall, we will need, our waterfall is only, because this is only 6 inches, it's only going to include 3 flaps. And these flaps are 4 1/2 by 6 inches. And with the 4 1/2 in the top right-hand side of your scoreboard, we're going to go ahead and score at 1/2 inch. And you're going to do that to all 3 of them. As you can see, I've already done that, and I've added my score tape. So go ahead and score your pieces, add your score tape, or get your hot glue out. Not hot glue, sorry, your wet glue. You can use hot glue, but ouch. And then the closure is, the waterfall closure is 4 inches long and 1.5 inches wide. And then on the longer side, which is the 4-inch side, we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Right? So 1/2 inch. And then add your score tape. All right, so then what we're going to do, take each one of those 3 flaps that we just created and scored, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure and give them, the score lines, a really good crease. One thing, piece of advice, is if you would like to round your corners, round the corners of these flaps, you can even round the corners of your book itself. It's usually better to round them before you stick them down. It's not necessarily better. I find it to be easier. So just do whatever is easier for you. But that's one thing that I found I struggle with, is if I don't round the corners before I glue them into the book, I tend to have bad things happen. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take these 3 flaps, and I know you've seen me do this before. I like to line this up, the book up with the edge of my scoreboard. Just helps keep everything straight. And I'm going to remove the adhesive backer, and just, let's see, I think I made this just shy. No, I didn't. Okay, I made it exactly 6 inches. So you want to make sure everything's lined up. And, whoops, see? Oh, no. Don't stick. You know what? I'm going to try. I'm going to have to turn it upside down. I just can't do it. I try. Okay. It's easier for me to line up this corner and the side, and then just stick the rest of it down like that. And of course you didn't even see that. So I like to line it up right here, and then I chase it with my finger. Come back in, give that a good burnish. So we'll do that again. Take the next one, remove the backer, line everything up. Then I like to push up against this crease, up against the tab of the previous flap, and everything just magically seems to line up. One more time. Oops. Okay. Here we go. Here is the edge. Hope you can see that. That's the edge of the previous tab. Or the previous tab of the previous flap. And I don't know, I think that one's a little bit crooked. Yep, that one's crooked. There we go. Saved it. And then burnish that down. And there, you can see, I'm going to put that like that so you can see. We have 1, 2, 3 flaps with a little bit of space here, which is fine because the pattern paper you'll be able to see. So that's the 3 flaps, and this is our closure. I'm going to go ahead, I think I said on the 4-inch side, we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. I'm going to go ahead and fold on that score line and burnish. And you can see when I was cutting, I cut a little piece off by mistake, but it's okay. Nobody's going to see that. All right, so this is up to you where you would like to put this. You can put it up here. If you want your closure up here, you can put it down here. I tend to do right in the middle to help keep excuse me, to help keep the flaps down. So I am going to take the edge of this flap, the folded edge of the flap, and I'm going to kind of eyeball the center here, and I'm going to stick it down right next to the score line, like the score line right here, without trying not to go over that score line to cause any interference. Okay. Now, if you do not want to use, I'm going to use these little magnets, but if you don't want to use magnets, you can use more seam binding to create a closure. I just am going to go ahead with the magnets. So since I have these little baby ones, I am going to do two. I'm going to take two. I probably don't need to do two, but I just feel like it works better. I'm going to put two there. Where'd that one go? See these little stinkers? They're so crazy. All right, so I'm going to just put them together. You have one plus, or one minus, and one plus. Okay. And then I need another minus and a plus, or a negative and a positive. Oh, come on. Come on there. Okay. So now I have two. Again, if you want to round the corners on this, I would do it before you stick it down. It's just easier. But I am going to go ahead. There's no rule that I'm aware of, or no suggested way of doing this that I'm aware of. I just like to make sure I leave enough space here for when I put down the pattern paper that it will actually, there's enough space to cover the magnet. So come in like maybe a ½ inch on each side and stick it down, maybe. And do the same over here. Oh, wrong way. So see how they're wanting to resist each other? They're polarizing. Okay. So then, I'm going to remove the backer here and here. Come on. Right, then I'm going to make sure this is all lined up. Everybody's closed down. Now I want to give it a little bit of give so that there's some room whenever we add photos. But I don't want it to be too sloppy or too loosey-goosey, if you know what I mean. So see how that popped up a little bit? I'm going to stick those down. And ta-da! But what I also like to do is add score tape here, because I have found, I have had it happen before. Now that's a little too much, a little bit of overkill, but I have had the score tape not the score tape, the adhesive on the magnets let loose, you know, in previous projects. So, yeah, I'm just probably being a little too careful, but I'd hate for, if somebody were to purchase the album from me, I would hate for it to just fall apart, you know. So there we go. That holds that down. Okay, so now we also have in our book, we also have a waterfall over on this side. This waterfall is, I believe, 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, because if you recall, this flap is 4 1/2 or 4 3/4. Sorry, 4 3/4 wide. So I didn't want to get too crazy. Plus, I just wanted a little bit of a different shape than this one over here. So there's 3 flaps here. No pocket. You could put a pocket here if you wanted to. I just put a piece of pattern paper with the coffee beans. Love it. So we are just going to go ahead and do the same thing. Oh wait, what is this? Wait, nobody move. Why do I have an extra pocket? Oh, I did cut it, but I just didn't put it in this book. Oh, that's what I did. So this is supposed to go here. There is supposed to be a pocket here. Oh, you stinker. Yeah, we're putting a pocket in, people. What did I do? I just covered it. Oh, the pocket is in there. I just covered it up with the pattern paper. I don't know, can you see it? There it is. So, yeah, that's supposed to have a pocket. Okay. I will do some surgery when I'm done here. So, all right. Let's rewind. So what we need is 3 pieces of our cardstock. We're going to cut it to 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. We are going to put this in our scoreboard on the long side, so on the 4 3/4 inch side, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. Well, mine looks off. Okay, so we're going to score it at 1/2 inch on 3 of them. I don't know, they're the right size. That's weird. Anyway, so you need 3 of those. We need another one of those closures that's 1 1/2 inches by 4. On the 4 inch side, we're going to score it at 1/2 inch again. And then for the pocket that's supposed to be a pocket that was pattern papered over, we need a piece that's 3 inches by 5 1/2 inches. And what we're going to do is we're going to score it at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. Okay? You can see there's a 1/2 inch. Turn it this way, 1/2 inch. Turn it this way, 1/2 inch. All right, so let's go ahead. Oopsies. Let's do the pocket first so we don't forget it. Again, I'm going to fold all the score lines and we'll give them a good burnish. Okay, then we are going to do what we did before, and we're going to cut out that square. And then because it's a pocket, I also like to just angle these at the top so that when you put a piece of a tag or something in, nothing gets caught on it. It's just definitely easier. Okay, then we're going to fold the pocket just like we did on the previous one. Don't stick it to yourself now. Have you ever had a situation where you're using score tape and you pick up the piece of paper and it gets caught in your hair? Done that more times than I care to admit. So anyway, so again, we are going to find the center between this edge and the score line here. So I'm going to find the center and kind of eyeball it. It's probably not quite centered, but that's okay. And then really burnish along those score line, those folds, because there's a couple layers of paper there now, and you want to make sure that it gets a good stick. And you can see, ta-da! There's your pocket. All right, so now we are almost done, guys. So we are going to go ahead back to our waterfall flaps, and we're going to fold along those score lines and give it a good crease. Now, you all know already that I like to work upside down when I'm doing these. can line it up whatever works best for you. But this is the way I do. But, piece of advice, make sure you put these on the right way. Don't put these upside down. Okay, so because this is not necessarily the exact same size as the flap here, we want to look for the center. Try to eyeball it, try to center it. If you want to use a ruler and a pencil, you know, have at it, but I'm just going to do my best and try to make it straight. Because, you know, there are no waterfall making police. So we're going to do the same thing we did on the previous one. Just going to line this up with the prior tab, stick it down. And then line this up again. As long as you keep it straight on both sides, you shouldn't have any issues. Yep. I don't know if you could tell, but they're nice and straight. But you can see I didn't burnish them very well because they're sticking up like that. So I'm going to go back and burnish. Now they're going to stick up a little bit, but they should not be standing at attention like that one just was. Okay. So let's bring this back around. So as you see, we have 1, 2, 3 flaps. We have the pocket this time. So we need to add the closure. Where did I go? Where did our closure go? Oh, here it is. So again, our closure is 1.5 inches by 4. We scored it at 1/2 inch on the 4-inch side. And we're going to fold the score line, increase it. Remove this paper backing or add your wet glue. And this closure is just going to go right on top of the pocket. See, here's your pocket. Doesn't matter because it has a flap that's holding it down and it's going to get covered with pattern paper. So I like to, again, some days I'm a measurer, some days I'm just an eyeballer, and today is definitely an eyeball kind of day, which probably is not a good idea because I had a lot of caffeine today. So let's stick that down really well. All right, and if you have decided that you're going to use seam binding, instead of adding this piece, you would put some seam binding down here at the bottom. So you would attach it down here, one piece down here, and then you could, oh, I don't have another empty piece. Then you attach the other edge up here on the first flap, and you would just tie it right here. But again, because I used magnets on the previous one, I'm going to use magnets here. Let's see if I can get these out without, there we go. There's one set. What was that? Plus. And come on now. 2 sets. And now they're stuck together. Oh, come on. Oh, good gravy. Okay. For God's sake. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did earlier. Again, I mentioned there's no rule. I just, for whatever reason, I always start with the minus first. Not sure why I do that. But just remove the backer off of the magnet. And if you have one of these pokey tools, it's actually really convenient because it helps you hold the magnet in place too. And it makes it easy to pick up. place down. Now move the backer off of the top magnet. Okay. And make sure just give it a little bit of play. Stick it down. Ooh, overkill. Guys, I don't know where that came from. So we have our waterfall over here. Our two flaps and our pocket. And you will see the cutting guide will have the dimensions of the tags that are in the original one. I'm not going to cut those here. I'm sure you can handle that. And then we have our other waterfall here with our cute little pocket. And then we just close it up. Line it up as best as you can. I like to bring it up to the top. And just tie our little bow. And that, I did not tie that very tight, but that is our little not mini album, I'm sorry, it's a folio. I folded it incorrectly. Okay, so you have these two flaps. The left one goes on the bottom, the right one goes on top, and then, no, it doesn't. It goes the other way. The right goes on the bottom, the left goes on top. Doesn't really matter. Once you put the pattern paper on, it's all gonna, line up anyhow. So, oh, I can feel those magnets want to interfere with each other. But there we go. That is our 6x6 folio. That fits inside. That fits inside our easel box. That right now is just a box because we don't have the easel piece on it. So if you open the box, that fits in there nicely. That closes up like that, and we'll just put this here as if this is our closure piece. It's not going to stick. So that is our project, guys. I hope you like it. I can't wait to see what you all make with it. And please tag me on social media. Thank you so much for joining me today. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need any assistance. Thank you.